Streaming from Madison, Wisconsin and Minneapolis, Minnesota. Straight to your personal devices. Available on all major platforms and YouTube. This is the Armchair Analysts podcast. And here are your hosts, Ace and Johnny.
Hey ho! Welcome to the show! Ace and Johnny, happy Cinco de Mayo to all of our listeners. Ace is getting his salsa on.
Yeah.
Baila, baila, baila!
Da, 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 da.
Oh my gosh, fantastic. Well, we had a very interesting week. We had a lot of stuff happen. Some of it good, some of it not so good.
Yeah.
Packer fans especially are a little, I don't know, probably irritated, agitated, enraged.
Yeah.
Insert adjective here.
If there's one thing about Wisconsin, I know they don't necessarily like to be in the limelight all that much. They don't
ever.
Like
I mean, honestly, if I could wear that, remember that when I had that bag over my head? I would do that for a whole week. It'd be good. I'd record with it again too. It's actually pretty cozy. No, we'll get to some of the drama a little bit later. Not really something I want to open the show with, but definitely something we need to address. But yeah, I mean, I guess let's just give them what we got today, right? So we'll kick it off with the Random Rant. Regional Roundup. I mean, there's like a little teensy bit we want to cover. But the big thing obviously is going to be the draft recap, right? That's the big thing that happened this weekend. And then also, I mean, depending when you listen to this, it's going to be past Cinco de Mayo, but we're in the past. And we want to pay a little homage. We want to pick out some of our favorite Latin professional athletes over the years. So we'll wrap that up with Ace's and Johnny's Quick Six. So there we go. I think that'll be pretty cool because it's nice to kind of look back, and there's really not, especially like in the NFL and NBA, like there's a few, but obviously baseball is going to be dominated by it.
I pretty much picked a team more or less, and I'll explain why. But if you were to happen to peek and see my name.
Oh, I peeked. All right, so the Random Rant is incredibly random. Normally, I'm fairly topical. Normally, at least you might be able to think about what I'm going to say. This is going to be completely out of nowhere. So I just want to do a quick rant about plant-based food options, okay? So hear me out. I am carnivorous as they come. If you want to make me the happiest man on earth, send me to a Brazilian steakhouse and give me $200. I will blow through it like none other. Not on alcohol either. I'll actually eat some meat too. But so like this is becoming a thing. Like I've tried gluten-free stuff. Like that's really not it for me. Like that's gluten-free pizza is probably the most waste of money I think I've ever spent in my life. Gluten-free bread is pretty terrible. If I want a wafer, I'll just get one. So the plant-based, at least the plant-based is at least like it's somewhat appealing. I have not tried an Impossible Burger. I've tried Impossible toppings on pizza. Not too bad. But in a work conversation, actually, they showed me this plant-based, cauliflower-based, like buffalo dip, right? And I'm not a huge dip guy to begin with, so I wasn't really like, I don't really care. My fiance saw it at the store, picked it up. I crushed that thing in like 3 days.
Really?
I mean, it was like maybe like that big.
Did you put it on like everything? Kind of.
No. I just dipped wheat thins and like crackers into it. It was freaking amazing. So, literally, it's all plant based, so it's all this like veggies and stuff, but. I don't know, like I'm not super into it, but like that was like my training wheels, right? Like I'm not just gonna dive right in. Like that's my plant-based substitute, like water wings. Like I'm just kind of getting warmed up, like just kind of in the shallow end.
Sauce, I love it.
Right?
Dipping sauce.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go and say it's healthy, but
you like what's one plant you actually like? Like what are vegetables you like to or eat that fit?
I mean, you're not gonna put spinach or carrots, but they had like peppers, obviously, cauliflower, and like I don't know the less I look at the ingredients, the better probably. But
this is for the wedding, I take it.
No, this is just me experimenting, honestly. Just want to try something new, you know? You don't want to get stuck in old cycles there, Ace. You want to keep evolving. We gotta keep evolving.
That's a good point.
You gotta keep moving on like we are gonna do with this show. All right. Regional roundup. There is so little to talk about. The Bucks are getting nipped at the heels by the Knicks, which I never thought I would say.
Oh my God, I saw that. Yeah.
The Knicks secured like their first positive season in 8-9 years or something.
Oh, definitely over close to a decade.
Yeah. So Melo breaks the top 10. Top 10 scoring. None of these are relevant regional stuff, but there's so little to talk about. I'm grasping for straws. The only thing that I really wanted to note was that Locaine and Yelich both back in the lineup for the Brewers yesterday. Lost by a run to a very good Phillies team. But then all of a sudden this afternoon, boom, Yelich back on DL. I don't know what's going on with this back thing. It's reminiscent of whenever our former star player, Braun, would just disappear for weeks at a time. And considering how well the Brewers are doing without two of their top four scoring options, I mean, whenever they show like the Brewer like home run leaderboard, it's like it's really weird not to see either of their names. Like it's really, really, really confusing. So. All things considered, I know that the bullpen got hit with a couple injuries too, but I mean we're early in the season and they're playing really good. They had a couple really great statement wins too, so I'm excited. But again, it's so early that it barely merits talking about.
Oh yeah, it's a shade different than how the Twins are doing right now. Still about 5-6 games below 500, 5 games. Last in the division, so it's and we're not, like I brought this up before, we're not battling injuries, it's just pitching. You can't get guys out, and we'll put up runs, like that's expected with this offense. It is nice, I will say, I haven't brought up the St. Paul Saints, who are starting off their new season having a AAA affiliate less than 15 miles away in St. Paul. So if we need to yank somebody maybe mid-game, they could potentially do that. I don't know if there's any. Is that even like No.
Call him an Uber.
No, because they set up lineup sheets well in advance. But they could trade a player. They could literally pull a player from a game just because of a trade. So I don't see whatever. Suffice to say, we're kind of in we're sort of still middle of the ground. Like this division is going to be good, clearly, with the White Sox and the nobody expected the Royals to be in first place. Number one, they were supposed to suck. They unloaded everyone. Like they had so the Royals won in 2017 and just couldn't pay anyone. They let everyone go pretty much from that roster except for the catcher and Perez. It's funny, I remember only the catcher, but Locaine, wasn't he? Did he win one with them in 2017?
I know that he was with the one. Now I'm worried because we took a lot of players from the Royals, so now
okay, because Moustakas played for there temporarily, but so they got rid of Hosmer, kind of that core. And point is, this was supposed to be a down freaking year for them, and it went completely flip flop for how our season was supposed to start versus theirs, and then
Ace Daddy. Kansas City Royals, Lorenzo Cain, 2011 to 2017.
So he won the title there.
He did. He's a champ.
Perfect. Good.
2-time All-Star. Oh, no, sorry. World Series champion 2015. So you were off by
20.
Years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was, 7 years ago. They got back. They must have got, or 6. They got back in 2017, I think.
Math.
Whatever. So keep an eye out for the Twins. Pineda, our starting pitcher's down right now, and our kind of utility guy, Luis Arraez. I need to learn how to roll my R's. But Arraez is like our utility guy.
If only you were with someone that spoke Spanish. Wow, that'd be really helpful, huh?
Oh. Huh. I got somebody, huh?
We got more mileage out of that than I was expecting for the roundup, but that's not a whole lot going on. There's one thing that did happen that we do kind of want to talk about. That's super regional. NFL draft, which I gotta say, not only having fans but having a ton of fans
and media,
not super fan of the media right now, but
true, but
I guess should we start with that? Should we address the elephant in the room that's
boots were on the ground,
tormenting me for
what, the Kentucky Derby? Did you lose money over the Derby?
No, I don't like you. You're gonna force me to say it, aren't you? You piece of crap.
Oh, Rodgers? Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers?
Aaron Charles Rodgers. Yes.
What, yeah, it did
okay,
overshadow the draft. So yeah, let's just squash it right away.
So I don't go on Facebook. I there's just such a horrible echo chamber of opinions and just so much BS. I don't really go on Facebook anymore. But I had people message me on Slack, our internal messaging service at work. Yeah. I had people email me. I had people text me. And I also had people message me on Facebook about it. What's going on with Rodgers? What's happening? What's going on? None of the things that were initially reported were anything new. Love was taken over a year ago. They lost the NFC Championship back-to-back almost 3 full months ago.
Yep.
They didn't draft a wide receiver over a year ago. Like none of the changes that were made were new. And even Jeopardy was a few weeks ago. Like none of these things were new elements. But Mr. Schefter, the pile of human flaming trash that he is, decides to go and just post this little article. Like the ESPN's like, we're going to get a lot of viewers tonight. Let's make sure we get even more. Yeah. So he serves this beautiful clickbait poo-poo platter. And now all of a sudden everyone's just spitballing on top of it. Now it's like, okay, let's throw anything we can. Seeing like actual sort of reliable media outlets just coming up with whatever they can just to kind of go along with it, just so the snowball keeps going, was that actually really disgusting. Because nowhere at all, aside from one Mike Tirico mini quote, a partial quote, is there anything actually attributed to Rodgers. No sources named. And no new information is unveiled. Mm-hmm. So as far as myself and a lot of Green Bay faithful are concerned, we think it's actually complete BS. Sure, he's upset. Of course he's upset. You had your best chance at going to a Super Bowl. You had a home championship game. Yeah. Yep. But they did not lose because of a receiver. So that whenever somebody says that, I just hit him. It's higher. It goes to the ownership. He doesn't. There is no ownership. I'm the ownership. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't. Same way Brett Favre didn't like it. I'm sure at the end of the day they didn't give Brett Favre decision making capabilities. But that's the thing too. That's the thing that makes the least sense out of all of this. That's their philosophy. Rodgers was drafted when Favre was still playing. Like they had a down year, but overall he was still playing well, right? Yeah. They picked Rodgers. I think that year, they got Rodgers in the 23rd, the 23rd slot. So I think they either just missed the playoffs or lost first round. Like it wasn't a great year, but it wasn't the worst year ever. Pick Rodgers, great. Sits on the bench. Favre's all pissy every offseason. He's crying. We don't know if he's coming back. He doesn't work out. He doesn't go to OTAs, nothing. All of a sudden, preseason's over. Hey, I'm in, guys. Cool. Let's go. Let's play some footy ball. I'm getting very confused when I hear that Rodgers refuses. He can't believe that they drafted Love. But this was not only so long ago, but this is literally how he came into the NFL. How the irony is just it's too palpable. It can't be real. It doesn't. So say what you want. I've seen all these trade scenarios of teams giving several first rounders to get him and whatever BS. Until he comes forth and says something, confirms something, I'm not buying it. And honestly, it's probably going to be really funny because by the time this actually gets published and people listening to it, there could be some stuff out there that makes me look like a complete fool. But at this exact moment, let me check my phone. So here, I agree. The media has drummed this up, though. Of course. Substantially, because that's their duty. That's their duty at the end of the day. They need to get clicks on their site because that's how revenue's generated for companies. You shouldn't use stuff that's so unsubstantiated. Well, here's the thing. The new, and I don't want to delve too long, but the sort of new is all three of them at separate times visited Rodgers out on the West Coast, but they never say when. It must have been, I think it was earlier this year. The owner, the general manager, and the head coach. That's the only new information. That's not new, though. That all happened earlier in the offseason. Oh, see, I didn't know about that, I guess. Oh, yeah, because they don't. That's why they can't comment on anything. They haven't talked. There's nothing new to report yet. I do want to go back and listen to AJ Hawk on McAfee's show. I heard there was some interesting tidbits in there, but I don't know. Overall, it does. it feels like a smear campaign, because if people didn't already think
Correct.
Rodgers was kind of a diva and overrated and yada yada yada, this makes him look so terrible.
But a smear campaign would be coming out of whose circle then?
Exactly.
Packers, right?
The only people that would benefit would be people that would want him. But okay, this is unofficial, by the way, so please don't take this to heart. Feel free to check it out on your own. But I was told by an unnamed source, here I go, that Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers have the same agent. I don't know if that's true.
That might actually be.
I don't know, but if that is true, then it's even more mind-boggling, because the agent, if he's out there, setting up the subterfuge, then to what end? Like, what? Rodgers has like a $37 million cap hit this year.
Correct. Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, that dude's going to get paid no matter what.
That's the thing. It's people like, well, is he looking for money or is he chasing a ring? I'm like, well, what team is he going to go to that's going to give him a better chance at winning a ring than Green Bay? And then number two, who's going to pay him more than we are right now?
Yeah, no kidding.
So I don't know.
Really.
It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of not so great stuff. I don't know. It just without having actual context or actual like sourced quotes or anything, like it's very hard for me to take any of this to heart.
Andrew Brandt tweeted it out apparently on April 29th.
What?
Agent for Aaron Rodgers, agent for Jordan Love, Dave Dunn.
That's true. That's the name I remember hearing. Okay, so that makes it even more confusing, because if he is trying to start a pissing war, it's two of his people, which also seems like a conflict of interest.
Yeah. That's like, okay, when you buy a home, I remember this in buying the home, you sign you have to acknowledge if there's dual representation that exists, or a relationship between either party of the real estate group. On the buying or selling. So, God, no kidding.
So there's okay. So at least from an outside perspective, just from what you've seen in article form, the ranting and raving of myself, and just basic curiosity as a human being, do you see that there are a few holes to what's going on? Can you at least admit that there's a few holes? Not a lot of things are adding up.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, if there is some friction, I'm guessing most of it's in-house, and they're going to try to keep it that way.
Yeah, the fact that there's these numerous...
Don't get me wrong, though. I think there's friction for sure, because I think he's upset with...
There's friction between me and you right now. No, I'm just kidding. But that's the thing. It's like none of the arguments that have been made that I've heard seem to make any sense. Like, if he's demanding to get a ring, you're not going to get a better shot. Like, our division is relatively easy.
Can I tell you one more rumor that...
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
The Packers, because they are trading him to the Broncos, basically told the Broncos, here, draft a quarterback, Surtain.
So that was one of the proposed trade scenarios that I saw today, which that's the CB that I wanted, but we were never going to be able to get him. So, all right. That's enough of that BS, but I mean that was like the big elephant in the room. That was the huge story. It's not a story. None of it's new. If Rodgers comes out today or tomorrow and says just gives me anything, I will say though that when Devontae Adams tweeted that somebody you should appreciate what you got because you don't know what you got until it's gone or something like that. Rodgers did like that tweet, so that's a little scary. But I digress. All right. I'm going to take a breather. I need to calm down a little bit. Why don't you go through the Vikings draft and tell me how you guys are going to win the NFC North this year?
Can I... no kidding. Can I start with our new Hall of Fame player at the 199th pick, 6th round, i.e. Tom Brady? Jalen Twyman, D tackle out of Pittsburgh. He wears the same number as Aaron Donald, by the way. And I was watching some highlight videos of him. After one of the tackles, the TV announcer, the analyst, chimes in. Oh man, yeah, he's repping number 99 just like Donald. He really plays to heart that mindset that Donald has. He talks, he wants to be him. He wants to be the next him. And I kind of got chills in the moment, because like if I potentially could have called my shot here, like even if he's like let's say an all-star or a All-Pro in 5 years, right? Wouldn't that be? I'd be excited that I sort of called it in a way, but no, we drafted him. We actually drafted a DN from Pittsburgh earlier, but sorry, the highlight is Christian Darrisaw, our offensive tackle, as well as a QB in the 3rd round, Kellen Mond. He's actually a really athletic quarterback out of Texas A&M, and they like to sling it, i.e., Mr. Johnny Manziel. Money. But no, that was so. Here's some rumors on the Vikings side. We were rumored to have wanted to trade up to actually land Justin Fields, but I don't think we were going to move up high enough to be able to surpass the Bears.
Bears are too desperate. This is Nagy and Pace's last hurrah. If they don't nail this draft and they don't do well this year, they're both gone.
Well, here's the thing. The fact that we got Kellen Mond, who I've heard Chris Sims, even Dan Patrick, even some of these other reputable names mention, being a pretty good athlete, just a good quarterback overall, is sort of encouraging, knowing that Kirk Cousins is on he's got one more year after this. He signed the 1 or 2 actually. I think it's either way. It's a different style also. And so I guess Darrisaw is more of a run blocker, so I think the focus is still going to be around running. But overall,
you really want to shoot out with Kirk Cousins? Come on, man.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm excited with the draft overall. We drafted no cornerbacks, which is an absolute shock to me. No
Gladney, baby. Gladney's coming back.
Yeah. No news on that, which I guess is probably for the better.
Maybe not.
Well, yeah, you're right. Probably not, given the reports. But no, we went defensive line, offensive tackle. We mixed in some receivers, a guy that's going to transition to safety as a cornerback. Yeah, I'm excited. What about you? I think you guys got a decent draft from what I saw.
This is the draft that I wanted last year. Like this, we had. I mean, I don't need to go back into why the first 2 picks last year were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's obvious that neither. I mean, Jordan Love literally did not even put on football pads last year. He did not even put a jersey on last year, other than when he was drafted to take his first pick for the website. So this draft was very refreshing. I was worried there was a lot of players down at the bottom of the first round that I wanted the Packers to take. They ended up going not with the player that I wanted, but the position. And remember, what did I say a couple weeks ago or last week? I don't care who they pick as long as they pick based on need and position. That's all I care about. And they did that. Yep. Eric Stokes out of Georgia, the first round. Absolutely fantastic player. Former track star, crazy fast, very tall, big frame. About 6 foot, 200, like big dude. So, obviously, when they re-signed King, we were all like freaking out, like, oh my god, like what? He can't be starting again. Eventually, Stokes is gonna replace him and hopefully be opposite Jair full time. So, I'm very excited about that. Very talented kid. And then this is probably my favorite pick. It's not a sexy pick, but for me, I think it's a sexy pick. So, round 2, Josh Myers out of Ohio State, center. The last time we drafted a center from Ohio State was Corey Linsley. Ooh. So, also in the same round, I believe, too.
Pedigree.
So the precedent is there. Ohio State, just like most Big Ten teams, very good at forming defense and offensive lines. So this is I mean, that's the thing. It's like, God, you got to be worried because you're figuring, okay, Bakhtiari got the injury at the end of last year. There's a very good chance that he's not going to be ready to go come week 1-2, right? So you're going to have to ship somebody over. It's probably going to end up being Jenkins, most likely.
That does.
But you got to replace Linsley. You got to have you have to bolster the line. And you know what? The Packers, sure. You know what? We've floundered so many playoff opportunities. These guys can make an offensive line. Since I've been able to read, write, and like be a child, they have always been able to just have crazy offensive lines, whether it be by trade, free agency, or the draft. It's just been insane. And this, I feel like they're just going to keep that tradition rolling too. Round 3 was a big pick. They traded up to get Amari Rodgers, slot receiver out of Clemson. I know that that's not the sexiest pick, especially when there were some better wide receivers available in round 2. And I know even in end of round 1.
Catch.
I I think just because of the volume that he saw at Clemson from Trevor Lawrence, just being able to take away some of those targets, being able to manipulate the middle of the field, being able to not having to rely so much, on Adams.
Exactly.
Not the greatest pick ever, but I mean, it's definitely a need. They drafted another tackle, Royce Newman. Slayton out of Florida, defensive lineman. He's a run stopper. He's just there to help clog up the lanes with Kenny Clark, which is nice. I'm assuming that means they're confident in their pass rush. Dean Lowry returning. Lancaster's out. I mean, you got the Smith boys, which is cool, and you also obviously will still have Rashawn Gary on the outside.
You need depth, though. You still need depth there in the line.
Correct. And they did let Montrevious Adams go, so I mean it's a good pick. He's a big boy too, 6'4", 330, just a monster truck of a guy. Yeah.
Come to Minnesota.
They picked another corner, but I think that the fan favorite pick of the draft was our boy Cole, former Badger, grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and is playing for hometown Packers.
Serious?
Like this is the feel good story of the year. Like, don't get me wrong, when they picked up Aberderis, that was cool. When they got Jake Kumaro out of Whitewater, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's incredible.
I don't know what his role is going to be right now. They have him listed tackle and guard. I'm not really sure how he's going to fit in the line. I'm pretty sure he's going to be depth for a while, but also a big boy. He's 300, 6'4". When everyone talks shit about this draft, the first thing I'm going to say is, do you remember how the worst two games the Packers had last year? How did it go? Rodgers was running around with a chicken with his head cut off, just getting destroyed by Ed. They didn't have to blitz. The Bucs didn't even have to blitz. They would rush and they would get crazy pressure.
I think this is 100% why that whole thing was media driven, because look at what they did this year. That's going to quiet any sort of news, I think, because they really focused on from the inside out. Or they drafted on need, like you said.
But if you're a spinster, if you're a PR spinster and you want to go flip it the other way, you could say, well, they're bolstering the line for Love. They want to give more protection for Jordan Love. They want to have weapons and fortify the offense for Love. So I could see it going both ways. Either way, it's now that we've had a little bit of time to digest and maybe contemplate Rodgers leaving, it kind of makes me like the draft even more. Because it's like Love's going to need extra protection. He's going to need the additional weapon. I'm more open to it than I was before.
The future host of Jeopardy could actually have that role sooner than we think.
Get out of here.
Sorry, yeah.
Cole Van Lanen, it's really cool. I'm hoping that he is able to make an impact year one, but I think it's just having a dude that's from Green Bay, played at Wisconsin, is now on the Packers. Yeah. That's cool. They did draft an inside linebacker, Isaiah McDuffie. I have no idea about him. I do like the 7th round pick, though. LaFleur was offensive coordinator for the Titans. You know how much they love to run the ball. They want as many running backs as they can get. 2nd round pick last year. They draft a guy that has bigger quads than I do waistline, and that's saying something. So they picked Kylan Hill, 7th round. He hasn't played football in a bit, but when he did, he was a fantastic player. Also played against some incredibly stiff competition in the SEC for Mississippi State. I don't know. It's just good to have depth in that area. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, especially playoff football in the NFC North. For those of us that play outside, I know that the wonderful Vikings don't have. They don't want to be bothered with that. But if you're playing playoff games in the snow, Detroit doesn't play playoff games. It doesn't matter. Their season's done by Christmas.
Yeah, good point.
So, I mean, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. I know that it's still kind of crappy just thinking about the possibility of Rodgers not being there, but just knowing that the front office, even though everyone in the world is just trying to smear their name through a mud of shit right now, I think they did a very good draft. They had a lot of draft capital, and they used it to move up strategically when they wanted to snap players. So I mean, that's what the draft's all about, though, trying to maximize your value. So.
I thought this year, without a 2nd round pick too, we traded some picks in the later rounds to get like a later round pick, or just to get a closer up pick, but it wasn't nothing significant. I thought with the draft picks we had overall, we were very efficient, which is a good sign to see, especially because that window on the defensive side has been closing.
Yeah, you feel that pressure, like when I think when the offseason hits and free agency's done and it's right for the draft, like it kind of hits you. It's like, wow,
this
so
is what we need.
you kind of see the contracts line up. You kind of see like who's going to be where in like a year or two, and it's like, damn, we got to make the best of this. We got to get this going.
We all want to be a freaking GM. At the end of the day,
that's why I play franchise mode in Madden, dude. Cut everybody, trade everybody, give me the picks. I'll figure it out. No, I'm excited. I'm glad the draft was able to be what we're accustomed to. It was nice to see fans. It was nice to It was nice to see people booing, even if I didn't understand what they were booing.
Yeah, no kidding.
But no, it's such a production though. It's such a production. Like they make it 4 hours long.
Yeah.
The first round.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy. I was playing. I was
ridiculous too.
Yeah, I was playing golf and we went out to eat after, and it was like 5:00, and this draft was still going on Saturday. Like, what? This is crazy.
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
Crazy. All right. So now we've covered the draft. We've covered local news. We've covered plant-based food options. And now it's time for us to commemorate Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
So, we got our favorite professional Latin athletes. I think we can start with our favorite shared. We have a shared interest. Manny Lopez, our favorite joint athlete.
My friend. Athlete for Liga Latina in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
For Los Tigres.
Maybe. No, Los Leones.
Lions, Tigers, semantics.
Bears, oh my.
Semantics, brother. All right, so I was just going to kind of go down my short list.
Sure.
For NFL, I think this one's super easy, and this guy's it sounds cliche, but he's literally a class act. Tony Gonzalez, Hall of Famer, one of the most straight and narrow guys. Like, he will be honest.
That's a great one.
He's a fantastic player, a better person, really active in the Latin community as well.
Who's better looking, him or Strahan?
Did you see?
He got that tooth fixed.
No,
too.
That was April Fool's. I thought that was real too. Shit. Yeah, that was April Fool's. Gonzo's timeless. Strahan, he's got his look, but Gonzo's timeless. And the fact that he's been an analyst, or he's been out at the desk now, I don't know. It makes me like him even more. Also, he brought me to my very first fantasy championship, so I'm always going to be a little biased. So, yeah, Gonzo, big guy. Manu Ginobili. I know this sounds really random, but
that's a great
I used to be very, very, very heavily invested in basketball when I was younger. Manu, when he came around, he was an unknown commodity. He barely spoke the language. But just seeing what he could do without having the ball in his hands, just like his defensive presence on the floor. And, like, it was just great because you got to watch him go against, like, the Kings and the Lakers, like, back in the early mid-2000s. Like, the dude was just phenomenal. And also hearing him in his postgame with his Argentinian accent was always pretty amusing, too. But he was always fun to watch. And then once he started developing an offensive game, it's like, damn, this guy's a player. You know, he got the recognition.
He's going left. Oh, he still went around you.
And then we can't forget he's also Batman. So no matter where I am, if somebody says Batman for like a split second, I'm gonna think Manu Ginobili's bah. That and the Randy Johnson fastball that like just eviscerated that bird. Those like the two iconic sports and animal moments in my brain.
Oh. That's a great one, and I gotta.
Yeah.
That was a home court game too, I think.
The last one I have for my short list is Roberto Clemente, because I can't remember. I was probably maybe 5 or no. I was old enough to read. I was probably like 7 or 8 when I first read the story of his life, how he died, and everything that happened afterward. It was just a really inspiring story, and I was like, I was very young, but I remember being sincerely upset that I could not watch him play. Like, I did not have the opportunity to watch this man play ball, and that was always something that really kind of impacted me too. But, yeah, so those are my 3.
That sort of plays into mine actually to start. Because I wanted to start with a couple twins, Tony Oliva and Rod Carew, who are both Hall of Famers in their own rights and just amazing freaking hitters. So, not that I would model my game after any professional. I mean, I'd try to, but like, that it would turn out that way is a different story. But those guys were my hit. Like that would be who I would follow if I was growing up around their time, basically, because they're slap hitters. They put basically amazing people off the field. Manny actually bringing him up again has talked with Rod Carew numerous times because he'll go in there looking for meat. Apparently, he lives around the same area that Manny works at as a butcher.
What?
And so it's kind of a cool little relationship there. But the others I wanted to include happen to be from the Boston Red Sox.
Wow.
I thought that David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez, and Manny Ramirez. They brought a title to Boston.
I'll give you Pedro for sure.
Yeah, Pedro was like
Pedro's huge.
And David Ortiz playing for the Twins, I just kind of thought as like a tongue in cheek that would be kind of funny to throw in there. Plus, but everyone knows how dominant Pedro was. Manny Ramirez sort of speaks for himself. He's talented, but he's also got sort of a blemish as well. Nobody really talks about him anymore. But Pedro, he is a Hall of Famer. He's clutch. Like you think of him, you think of basically all three of them as being pretty clutch in their own right, which I respect as in athletes. It's like showing up in those big moments. It takes something, right? And to be able to come through, oh my God. That was huge, especially everyone hates the Yankees. So to see them, I wish that was the Twins, to see a team come back from a 3-1 deficit or 3-0. I think they were down 3-0 deficit in the American League Championship Series against the stupid rival Yankees who everyone hates.
The problem is they were too clutch. They kept winning and they kept playing so well that everyone started hating them.
Yep, exactly. I was going to get to that.
And then it rolled into the Patriots dynasty, and it's like, you know what? Everyone's just like, we're done with Boston.
Yep.
Get them out. They're all cheaters. They're all on steroids. Get them away.
So that's a great point. We sort of bought into that whole rivalry, but majority of the side, it seemed to be on the Red Sox side. You had the bloody sock with Kurt Schilling. You had all this crap within the heroics of the, crap that are basically memories.
I mean, you could argue that watching the ALCS was more exciting than watching the actual World Series at some point, as long as it was the Yankees Sox. Like, it was much more entertaining.
Yeah.
Much more history, much more on the line, it felt like.
But to your point, it's funny how, like, okay, fast forward, 10, 15 years, and complete opposite opinion about Boston. Make them secede from the country is what people are saying now. We don't want them here anymore.
Time is a cruel, cruel mistress.
Very true.
Time is undefeated, as they say in the sporting world. But that's cool. That was nice. I'm not huge into celebrating Cinco de Mayo, but I do have a lot of respect for Hispanic culture. I took 13 years worth of Spanish. I've been to Mexico several times, but I mean, it's nice to see that there is some recognition for Latin players outside of baseball, at least now. Definitely not where it could be, but I think there's enough. They have enough star power, I think, in the current players and some of the retired ones that really shining bright for them. So that was I'm glad we did that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts for the week? Going into this coming week, we just had, the draft. We're going into this week. Do you have any
I wish I had a Wedding Crashers quote queued up, but you know what? Be safe. Be safe this weekend.
Yeah, it's wedding season!
Oh, there we go. It's wedding season.
Wedding season! It is true. Ace and I both have weddings on Friday. That's why we're recording early so we can get this stuff published for everybody. But
yeah.
No, that's another thing to kind of talk about too. It's, going out golfing this last weekend, going out to a full restaurant,
Exactly.
It's starting to feel like we might have our life back. I'm just saying. Even in lockdown Madison and Dane County, they're still open. They're stop it. They're letting up on the restrictions for mass or public gatherings, social distancing. So yeah. Oh, I've been revenge spending. Take my card. I don't care. Not that bad, but No, having wedding season come up, I know a lot of people were kind of screwed over last year, so that's why I have to fight with them now, with my fiance, to try to book everything, because people from last year want to book, people from this year want to book. Yeah. It's this whole thing, but that is a story for another day. That is our show for this week. We are Armchair Analysts. I'm Johnny. That is Ace. And what are we, Ace?
We're out.
We are out.
That's the show for this week. Check out Armchair Analyst on Twitter at AA Podcasts, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If this wasn't enough, be sure to check out armchairpodcast.com for more. See you next week.